Hi everybody, hope everybody's okay. Stage 2 at last. We begin with me painting around the nose area. This is to spot for any blemishes. Also there's a part missing in stage 2 about where I polish the model, as I call it. This is for the Decals stage. Now a lot of people will apply a gloss varnish over the whole thing. It's something I don't like and try and avoid if I can. There's always exceptions to the case, but I usually wet sand the surface with a very fine grit, or in case of the Dominie, I used a cloth with water. I did that because of the strong colours. You've got red and white there, so when you're loosening up any paint particles, there's always the worry you might stain the white. With the cloth there's a bit more control. I find this works for me. I concentrate a bit more on the areas where the decals were going, especially the serial numbers, because there's a lot more carrier film with those, and I find this works for me. It works most of the time, and then the only time I use varnish is to seal everything in once the decals have been done, and then I apply any weathering that's needed. So enough of that waffle, and let's get on with stage 2 and see what I did. So with the area sprayed again, you can see there's still blemishes to clean up, and this is the only way you're gonna see these. There we go. That goes for all of the joins. See, I've started to fill in little areas like that. These are things that you won't see without doing this process, and you don't want to be getting to the final paint stage and finding these blemishes. So these will be corrected, filed, sanded and painted again until I get it right, and then once I'm happy with it, I shall polish the windscreen. So I've cleaned the fuselage up now. I tried to sort out that cord there on the leading edge as best I can, just give it a bit of shape. It's still way too thick. The rear fairing here, I don't know whether we can remember the old one. For what it was worth, chop it off, and one plastic card, just give it a bit more realism. The rudder, you can see I took quite a bit off that face there, so it should feel a bit better now. The front windscreen all polished now. There may be still some blemishes, but hopefully they'll be minor and I can touch them up later on. I used these pads to polish, starting off with a 3200 grit and then ended up with a cloth at 12,000. Each time I use a different grade of grit. I change the water and thoroughly clean the area. You don't want any leftover grit when you change into another grit. If you catch anything, just create more work for yourself. The wing, there was nothing there that I found that stood out. I've cut the tabs off, as you can see, and that will click into place like that. You can see the dihedral's wrong, all wrong. It should have a slight kink upwards, so I'll either have to take something off the wing fairing here, the wing root, sorry, or off the wing, just to make sure it kinks up slightly. The rear tail, I've stuck the top bit on. I will treat this as a separate assembly when I come to paint. This will be left off completely. It's just going to be so much easier to paint with this off. The nacelles, I took a bit more off the edge there, of the face should I say, just to thicken up that cord around the inlet. The hole's still too big, but it's got a bit more depth to it now. The undercarriage doors, Kit's one. They were really bad, so for what it's worth, again, a bit of plastic card. Just needs bending into shape now. I've got the rear undercarriage doors to do yet. They need replacing. Just the wheels to paint, and I think that's it. So the next thing is to start to assemble the wing to the body now. So the bulk of the sanding's been done. The engine nacelles went on fairly nicely, nice fit. You're still left with a trench to fill in. The wing, I had to take a bit off the, so that's the cross section of the wing. Because the it needed dihedral adding, I took chamfer off the side of each side of the wing, so it left me with that sort of shape and cross section. Then round here I warmed the plastic up with my fingers because it's a very weak joint, and then just bent them up slightly either side, and I found it fitted reasonably well. But it left me, because I'd taken some plastic off the wing there, it left me with a step going to the fuselage. So quite a bit of filing around there. But as you can see, that's all done now. That took a lot longer than I had hoped it would. Using my specialised sanding sticks, customised. Beautiful. And of course, this is what pegs were invented for, making your own sanding sticks. Different grades, different sides. So I've applied a coat of paint on those areas just to see if there's any more blemishes, and I'm reasonably happy now. I'm going to give the whole model a clean, taking all this masking tape off. I shall cut out the mask windows, which is something I'm really looking forward to. Add those, and then add the masks for the windscreen, and then we can start applying a base coat to the Dominie. So what's he doing here, I hear you ask? Well, what I thought of doing is creating some artwork that I can use to trace around to create a mask. But I need initially to draw the shape of the canopy area. I have to do one side because then I can mirror it. So, by finding my starting point, now it's very rough, but it gives me a basic shape. As long as I work within those lines, I can create some artwork and use that artwork to place over the top of laminate tape and cut out. All will become clear when I show you the artwork. Remember the tracing I did? I went over it in black pen, and I've given a scale there, 5mm at the top there, can you see it? That's just so that when I scan this in, I can blow it up, create better artwork, and then once I'm happy with that, I can use that 5mm thing as a scale. And here we have the actual artwork, size for size. I've done a few variations. This is 100%, 101, 102, 99 and 98%, just in case the original wasn't quite right. I've got a few variations. So now I need to use this template I've created to cut out my masks. So I've trimmed the artwork to a more manageable size, and now show you how I go about it. So the first thing to do is I'll just show you one side. Lay a bit of masking tape, that's going to be the actual mask. Place the template over the top. And then 1, 2. Now what these two pieces do is keep this paper template in place when I start cutting. Cut firmly because you want to go through the paper and 2 lots of masking tape. And then you should be able to peel all this crap off, and hopefully we should have our masks. So do that for the other side and then apply them to our windscreen. So let's try and apply these masks. I've just chamfered the edges off just to take that harshness away. I think on the real plane they're rounded off anyway. So let's give this a go. So I'll just do a bit of tweaking, but other than that, I'm happy with that. I just might make the frames a bit smaller and move the masks in a bit. Right. Oh, and the joy of cutting out the side windows was riveting. So I'm just going to do a bit of tweaking here and there, and then my first coat will be a coat of black around here and around these windows here, just to give the inside colour, and then an overall grey finish, just to see if there's any more blemishes to iron out. So as you've just seen, I've given the overall Dominie a coat of grey. 2 reasons for that. One, to spot any more blemishes, and the second, more importantly, is to hide that patchwork of sanding and different coloured paints. We don't want to be painting white on a patchwork quilt of shades. So as you can see, I've already painted the white and the grey. The grey is a mixture of sky grey with quite a bit of white. I toned that down quite a bit, and then I added a few drops of the light blue. I've kept a bottle of the mixture of the colour, so I've always got that shade if I need to do touch-ups. You can see I've taken the masks off, and you can see them. I've kept them just in case I need to reapply. I've numbered them as well. So I've kept them just in case I decide to give this a coat of varnish It won't be gloss. I'm not a big fan of gloss models. It will be a satin varnish at some point. But I've taken the masks off because I want to wet sand this paintwork once it's dry thoroughly. That will give me a smooth surface and take the edges off around the windows there where the masks have been. So I'm going to let that dry thoroughly and then get on with the sanding. Before I go any further, I just want to show you how I do the red stripe, or how I've approached it. Now I know that stripe is 6mm in depth, and I've got that from the actual roundel that the Airfix supply. I've used that as a guide. All will become clear why I've used that measurement when I put the decals on. So I cut some Tamiya tape to that height, and then I put it on as if it's a red stripe. And once I've got all my angles and dangles and it's all plumb and I'm happy with it, then I will add the masking tape and use this as a guide as I add the masking tape above and below. I hope that's clear. So now I've got upper and lower masked, I can take the guide off. Now I've just got the other side to do. I hate masking, hate it with a passion. So there we are, a mortgage's worth of Tamiya tape, and hopefully I've covered the areas properly. I'll get on with painting this area here white to lose that hard edge, paint wise, and then I'll add the red. With all the major paintwork done now, I can start thinking about the decals. And as I said before, the kit ones are long past the sell by date. So what I've tried to do is rummage through my stash, and hopefully I can come up or cannibalise with what I've got here to replace the kit ones. So it's not going to be 100% accurate, but hopefully be close enough. Now there were a couple that I didn't have in my stash, these small roundels and these crosshatch areas, which go on the wing and the rear pylon. So I scanned these in, created some artwork, printed some roundels out on white decal paper, and then these crosshatch areas and some more roundels on a translucent decal paper. Now I've done a couple of copies because I do know there will be mishaps on the way. Homemade decals I'm not keen on. The quality's not as good, and they are a bit more finicky in applying to the surface. So she'll give that a go and see what happens. The decals have been added now, and I'm just starting on the weathering. I tried this Tamiya's, I keep calling it satin, but they call it semi-gloss clear, to seal everything in. I usually use the Vallejo varnishes, they're pretty good, but I thought I'd give that a try. So I've still got all the aerials to add yet, and the undercarriage. As I said before, they look too long in the leg, and until I dry fit them, I think they need trimming down. The undercarriage doors, and I've deviated from what I promised, which was to build the kit straight from the box using the parts supplied. They were just so thick, they were ridiculous. So for what it was worth, I've created some newish ones. And so we've got those to add. And as I've mentioned before about the wing, it's only when I started messing around with this rear tail I realised how bad that was as well. If you're going to do a proper job, you take that completely off and either start from scratch or maybe even use the Matchbox rear tail. But since I don't have the Matchbox kit in front of me, it's hard to tell whether that'd be any use, whether you could use that. This shroud here, the dome, that's wrong as well. That needs completely cutting off. But as I said before, you will recognise what it is straight away. and for a kit of this age, it's not a bad kit. So I just want to show what you could do with a bit of work, the end results. So hopefully the next thing you'll see, some final shots, and I hope you do like the end results, and I want to thank you for watching. See you later.